Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Developer Dynasty here at Wolverine Studios. It's Friday night, so that means we're talking Draft Day Sports Pro Football 2021 as we head down the home stretch and get ready for our first access release coming up shortly. Will have a date for you pretty soon. I am joined tonight. We have the whole team here tonight. We have, as always, Brooks. And we have Asger with us tonight, too, to talk about some new things he's been working on. So you guys say hello to your millions of fans out there.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, guys.
All right, so we have a lot that we can cover tonight. Before we get started, though, of course, I always want to thank our subscribers. We have a new one, Seasoned Vet, who has used his Prime subscription, his free subscription for a month from Twitch Prime. So if you have that, and you can use it on our channel, we certainly appreciate that and appreciate all the support that way. Also, the people who do have the means to subscribe to us through payment, we certainly appreciate that. And definitely a huge thank you to our followers. We've bumped over that 230 mark now. We're moving right along, building this Twitch community here. So thank you to all of you. We have new followers from a couple days ago. Good old Kevin, Gonzo Gabe, and just now Jimbo Slice 6170. So welcome to the stream, Jimbo, and thank you for following us. Make sure you have notifications enabled if you're following us so that you know when we go live. We've been live every Tuesday and Friday at 7:30 for the past 2 months now. I think this is our 8th Developer Dynasty for Draft Day Sports Pro Football. So we're going to get started here with some big stuff from Brooks and Asger this week in terms of player detail in the game. This is something that they've really been working on a lot, and even some requests to port some of the stuff over to basketball because the detail is so good here. So I'm going to pull up a player card here, and one of the things you'll notice on here is a social type. So let's start talking about that tonight, Asger. Since you're kind of the genius behind this part of it, why don't you kind of tell everybody what we're looking at here?
Right. So one of the things that is super important to me, and that I know that is super important to you, Gary and Brooks as well, is immersion. And I was thinking about how can we sort of do more immersion, and I realized the way, or one way to do that, was to make all of the players more like real humans. So what we've actually done here is we've added like 10, 12 attributes, hidden attributes to each player that sort of indicates what kind of person it is. So we have like attributes for being extrovert or being introvert, or attributes for being confrontational, or how much they care about their career and how much they care about their family, and how much they want to help other people and stuff like that. And all of these attributes then combine into a huge amount of code that sort of generates some social types. And you'll see that the social type, if you click mental, Gary, if you click view mental up in the right corner on the roster screen, then you can actually see, if you go back and click view mental there, then you actually get a list of all of them, along with their traits, which is usual or useful. So all of these personality traits that we've added combines into basically two elements. There's one like is how they behave, and one about how they view their career or their goals in their lives. So you can have shy people, and you can have entertainers or celebrities and stuff like that. And for the moment, this factors only in slightly. It was a huge amount of work just generating these types. But eventually we will be using this to differentiate the players' behaviors. So the players will behave differently. They will respond differently to what you ask them to do or to their contract negotiations, and you will see them reply differently when you ask them to do different things, depending on their personality types. And we've already sort of added a bit of this. And just to reply to Noah, no, all of the normal personality stuff is there. They're actually in the grid that we're viewing right now. So all of the normal personality stuff is there, but we've added a bunch more that are more personality driven. If you take like a personality test, you'll get like different parameters. So all of these will actually, in the long run, be a great platform to sort of model different behavior, different types of personalities, and the players will react in different ways. My long-term goal is that I will use this to generate an option to actually talk to players, so you can ask them questions and they will respond in different ways depending on their personality, stuff like that. That won't make it into the 21 version, but this is sort of the platform that goes into just modeling different behavior and different people to sort of generate more immersion. I think that's all. That's all I can say without rambling too much.
I think it's a very interesting addition to make. We want to make these players come alive, and that's sort of the one thing people have mentioned to me a lot. Over the years is that they want our games to be like Football Manager. I mean, Football Manager is the gold standard for all sports simulation games, and kind of the goal for every sports simulation game to aspire to. But they always tell me how alive the players feel in Football Manager, and I think this is a step in that direction that you guys have implemented here. That it really gives something more than some numbers to these guys. You can kind of start to imagine them as people rather than some numbers in a game. There's a question from Tim in the chat. How's it different from the phone calls in pro basketball and college basketball?
So I can.
Okay.
I really loved the phone call parts of the basketball games, and so eventually I hope we'll do something similar to that on the basis of these attributes, because it gives you a feel for the players when they respond differently to the same question. So that's sort of a long-term goal for this. You can expand if you want, Gary.
Yeah, I think that's a good explanation of it. That in the basketball games, we've had that kind of phone feature for a while now, where it gives you a way to interact directly with a player in the game, and then your response is, you ask the question and the player gives you a response based on the type of player he is that we've built him to be in that game. And this, I think we can go down the same lines here in football with what they've done here. It's just going to take time, and it's sort of the building, kind of laying the groundwork here, I think, in this version, and then being able to move on to something more advanced down the line, especially in the college game, where you could have do that with recruiting and stuff like that. There's a greater opportunity to talk to the players than maybe in the pro game. But that's a good question, Tim. And then I know another thing that you've been working on, Asger, is mentoring in the game. So do you want to talk about that for a couple minutes and how that's going to impact the game?
Yeah, sure. If you go to like a player, just click on a player and get the player card up, and you can find the bio page. You want to probably, and then click the bio page, player bio. Let's see. So basically, we want to be able to. Oh yeah. So this player can't mentor. So you want to click around until you find someone who is fairly old and pretty good. Maybe it's easier to go and search the on the yeah. There we go. So on the right here, you have the mentoring. And basically, what you can do is you can take your superstar veterans, and then you can have them assign them to mentor your rookies or your younger players. So it will take. Oh, I think you're not logged into the team.
No, that's right. It's not my
Gary,
team.
Yeah. So that's why you can't do anything. So basically, you can take your veterans and you can assign them to your younger players. The first 3 seasons they're in the game, and then you can so if maybe sort by overall and then find someone old, or you can do that. That's fine. That's
There we
fine
go.
as well. Yeah. Until you find someone who can. Yeah. There we go. So you can assign them different approaches depending on how they should sort of interact with the guy that they're trying to mentor. And you can assign them different focuses depending on what you want them to teach the young kid. And then you can, of course, assign them a target. And the first thing that they'll do when you assign a mentoring is that they'll try to sort of establish a connection with the kid. So once you tell them, I want you to mentor this kid, they'll go and then they'll try to become friends with him. And this is actually the first place where we started implementing all of the personality stuff. So you'll have to look at the personality, see, well, if this guy's a shy introvert and the other guy is a dazzling extrovert, probably they won't mesh very well. So the mentor will try to sort of become friends with the young guy, and then after that, if they manage to become friends, he will start improving the young guy. And depending on what you choose as their sort of target, what he's trying to help the young guy with, he will improve in different ways. So you can, if they're the same position, he will increase in his position skill. If he's trying to help him with like settling in, then he will increase in like morale, and he can you can do work ethic and confidence and humility and how to handle fame and stuff like that. So yes, Noah, personality will be a factor in the success of mentoring, because if the two personality types don't mesh very well, then they won't become friends, and the mentor will notify you that, well, I can't establish a connection with this young kid, so I'll just give up. And I recommend you assign him another mentor that make someone else try to mentor this kid. And then even if they can even get into fights and get angry with each other, and then they will like have a dislike for each other for a while, and stuff like that. So I think that's something that will really allow you to also sort of prioritize veterans in the game. Usually people are all about gathering draft picks and getting rookies and stuff like that, but you actually want to collect like a few veterans and a few, if you've got a legend or something like that on your team, then you want to collect those guys, because you can use them to teach, school up your younger guys.
I think that's a really smart use of this in the game, because one of the things in building, especially Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball in the recent seasons, is really shaping players to be individual players with individual playing styles. So in the basketball game, it's really important to find players who mesh well together, because if you've got a guy who's a three-point shooter, you need a guy who can drive and attack and draw multiple defenders and pass it to the open shooter. I think the same process here in terms of team building is important, and looking at these guys, their personalities, their social types, like Asger said, finding veterans who can mentor, younger players and really build a team. You're not just 5 clicks and find the highest rated player and you're all done. This is really shaping up to give the players a really deep game world and a good challenge to not just it's not just about numbers. It's about building a team. It's about building a franchise. And then we've been talking on Twitter and stuff about how important franchise mode is. That this is what it's about, building a franchise and really putting the pieces together. And I think that's really going to give you a challenge in a football game that you maybe haven't seen before. So if you're getting ready for this game, this is going to introduce a new wrinkle into it, a new way that you're going to have to play. So I want to get to Brooks here now that we've used up some of our time and he's gotten off the hook easy here. Let's switch over and talk about some of the things that have been added to the strategy here. We've got some things we talked about this week about third down backs and sub logic. You want to kind of go over some of that stuff, Brooks?
Yeah, one of the evolutions of the game over the years, we've been building these for 5 years now, and the game even goes back further than that. One of the drawbacks of the engine is there's a gray area that I exist in between making the game realistic and playable, but also making it difficult enough that career mode still works, but multiplayer also works. And a lot of the problems with the game today in the engine are balance issues that we've forced into the engine to prevent users from doing stuff that is unrealistic. So a lot of the complaints that we've had over the last year or two have been substitution patterns, unrealistic, depth charting, coaches not using the right players in the right situations, things like that. And most of that code is in there because we've been trying to shoehorn these things to get accurate pro style results. And so the goal now for this particular version is to start loosening those things up with the amount of work that Asger's put into play design, with the custom play design screens that we've added, with the skill sets that we've added, with the depth charts and the packages and all of those things that we've added. We've tried to give the users plenty of different ways to game plan. And so I'm able to start removing some of the hard-coded logic in to force teams into particular patterns that a user might not want to use. So one of the things we've done is adding third down backs. So I know a lot of people don't like when their first string running back just gets subbed out for no reason, either because they hit some artificial limit or because the team's up by 2 or 3 touchdowns or whatever. And these kinds of things like third down backs should help with that. Because if you have a third down back, then your primary running back's only getting, the first 2 carries of a series or whatever. Third down back can come in and spell the guy for a play or two, and then go back. So those kinds of things are things that we're looking at to help keep substitution patterns a little more realistic and help with wear and tear on the players, and still maintain teams getting to NFL norms and not going too crazy with unrealistic game plans. The other things that we're adding, we have double coverage that's in there. That's what the primary coverage part of a defensive game plan is going to be, where you can target a particular it's under focus. It's where you can target a particular player for double coverage. We're adding motion in, motion's already in. We're adding the play action passes have been ported over from college. So all of those things are in. Asger's working diligently on creating plays that'll load into the game by default. So you'll have access to some of these new play designs. And hopefully with all of these things that we're adding, you can get a little bit more variety out of your game plans. And you'll start to see a lessening of odd AI decisions that we want to try and get rid of.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here and talk about the what I think was probably a bit overlooked in the latest college game that we brought in here is the ability to double cover players dynamically. So in your in the playbooks, you'll now find some plays that are named T double. And for those T double plays, you'll actually have a player that will target the guy who you set in your game plan. So in your game plan, you can say, well, I'm looking at the 2006 Patriots, and we know that Randy Moss is going to catch like 1 million passes. So we want to key in on Randy Moss or whatever. And so you can set Randy Moss in your game plan as your target player, and then you can add the T-double plays in from the playbooks. And the T-double plays will actually have an extra player. Usually, you can it's in the bottom there, target player, Gary. Yeah, there. So the T-double, the defensive level, be an extra defensive player who will target the player that you set there. So you can actually try to shut down their best player if you want. And I think that was actually I follow the different multiplayer leagues, and I was talking to some of the guys in one of the leagues, and they say, oh wow, we weren't even using this, even though it's been in like the 2020 college game since the beginning. So I'm really happy that we're bringing this in to the pro game as well, and I was looking forward to just sort of flagging it here because it's actually a really cool feature in terms of game planning, especially in multiplayer leagues where you'll see people just ride one guy all through the season. So I'm hoping that this will sort of catch on and give game planning like an extra layer where you can actually look at the opposing team and figure out what they're trying to do and who they're using the most.
Cool. While when we were listening to that, I was clicking around the screen showing off another thing that Brooks added in this week, this option up at the top that's going to export some data to a CSV file. So this is in response to things asked for from the community. So for everybody who is interested in getting that data, Brooks, you want to tell them exactly what they're getting right now with that button?
Yeah. So the problem was that a commissioner could always export all of the data that they need, either to build up their own websites or their own reports or whatever. And a lot of the teams themselves wanted access to that data. So rather than force the commissioner to have to share it all, we put the button here so that teams have access to it. It basically is all of the same data with the exception of draftees, because we don't want player attributes and draftees to show up in the export, because we want people to still have to scout them and draft them appropriately, as opposed to just looking up all their data in that export and knowing everybody's ratings instantly. So hopefully that helps with folks who want to do advanced analysis of different statistics in the game. We do have a couple of questions. I'm going to try and get caught up on some of them. So Coach is asking about moving around defensive players pre-snap. There's not a specific setting for it, but there are variations on our defensive formations where players will shift weak side, strong side, those kinds of things. Bringing safety down in the box is another one of those options, I believe, that will help with that. Noah's asking about third down back when you can have a different running back on all passing plays. The third down back is basically the back you want to put in for passing plays. So if you have an all-purpose back that works for all three downs and can catch the ball, then fine, you leave him in. But if you want to use a ground and pound guy on first and second down, but you have a slightly different, a pass catching fullback or whatever, you'll be able to put them in as a third down back without having to muck with any of your formations or depth charts. Brian's asking about teams focusing on 3-4 and 4-3. Right now, the coaches do have those settings for a preference on what kinds of defenses they like to run. If their playbooks are not up to snuff, we'll take a look at them. But that's the goal, is to have the playbooks centered around whatever their particular formation of choice is. They will vary. They will have some from other formations just because we like a little bit of variety, but it should have a pretty significant focus. Skelter showed up. Interesting. RPOs. I haven't put RPOs in. I to be honest, I think I'm probably going to run out of time. So that's probably going to have to wait until either a lucky update in later as we get into patching and updates, or it might end up being something that we'll have to go into a next version, or possibly we'll put it in college and then port it back to pros later on. I think that catches us up there.
Good deal. From a couple of streams ago, we had people ask about the trade screen and wanting to see a little bit more information there. So that's something that's been added here. You can every player you can either hover over. I love this hover option that Brooks has added this year. Hover over and get a quick overview of a player. You can always click on these players here too and bring up their player cards, and then the overall rating and their salary has been added to this screen, just to make it easy to kind of find guys. And then you'll see the salaries pop up here in the trades. You see who's on the trade blocks. You can add draft picks to the trades, all that sort of stuff. So that way, there was a request to see the overall on this screen, and then I added in the salaries myself. I thought that was pretty relevant to see at a glance. So again, I mean, that's something that's come directly from one of these developer dynasties, is showing off, sort of a work in progress, getting your comments and your feedback, seeing what you wanted to see, and then putting it into the game. And that's that's been a huge plus for us in these 2 months doing these developer dynasties, is just not only letting you see the bits and pieces of the game as we go each week, but also getting the opportunity to get your feedback and to make adjustments kind of on the fly, rather than just waiting until we're in first access or until after the game's released. For people to say that, I wish I could see this on the screen. I wish that did something different. This platform that we're using now, we've talked so much about the AU platform. It gives us so much power to be able to, not only display things very, very nicely, but also change them, on the fly, and change them quickly without having to do, a lot of the rework that we used to have, the old way we did things. So, this has really been a great boon to us on this, being able to have this platform and getting pro football onto it this year, because it's really made the game phenomenal. I mean, I can't wait. I know we've had a couple of questions in here about when is first access. I'm waiting for that meme on Twitter, the shut up and take my money. So, we're getting wrapping up as quickly as possible, because we want to get this in your hands. Football season hopefully is coming up soon, and no matter what, you'll have a football season here, because you'll have Draft Day Sports Pro Football 2021 to play. So I want to thank Brooks and Asger. Makes his comeback tonight to talk about all the hard work he's been putting in on the mentoring and social types. And I think once you guys kind of get a hold of those things in the game, you'll see not only what they already do, but I think we've got guys who have a lot of imagination and can start to imagine what they can do in the future, and we'll have some great suggestions for us. Thank you to everybody who came to the stream tonight. We had a very good turnout, and always great questions and comments. That makes this half hour just fly right by, because we always have plenty of things to talk about. Especially thanks to our subscribers who are supporting our channel. If you have the opportunity to do so, or you have that free Twitch Prime subscription that you can use, we'd certainly appreciate that. And that's about it for tonight. We've hit that half hour mark. We want to keep it timely. We want to keep this something that can be easily viewed again for all the people who can't be here at the stream. We have a lot of people who watch after the fact. So thank you everybody for stopping by tonight. and I want you to just get ready. We're so close. We're so close to getting this in your hands, so it won't be much longer now. So get ready for some great football. Get ready for true franchise mode, something that you can really get in there and build. As we say here at Wolverine Studios, build your dynasty. So thank you everybody for stopping by tonight. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. See you everybody.